Hi everyone, it's Karen Williams here, and today I'm delighted to be interviewing Dawn Grossart. Now, I've been connected to Dawn for probably about, 18 months or so. Just over a year ago, I was interviewed on her Total Time Mastery Summit, and we really connected, and we've recently re-engaged with each other, and I want to share some of the great stuff that she's been doing. So I know Dawn could introduce herself, but I'll give you a really brief introduction to who she is. She is an international women's success and business mentor, and her greatest passion is helping others to live their best life. She helps them to build confidence, resilience, and self-esteem, which I think is what most women are looking for. And she works with thousands of women, helping them to create those fulfilling lives, change careers, or build profitable businesses. She's got over 20 years experience in business. And today we're going to be talking about part of what she does as a coach, as a mentor, which may well help you in your business. So welcome, Dawn. Thank you for joining me today.
Karen, thank you so much. And yes, it's great to be doing this with you and sharing kind of some insights that I hope will help other women. And you're absolutely right, in that whole piece around confidence, self-esteem, self-belief, especially, whatever we're doing in life, in business, it's kind of fundamental that it's going to set us up for achieving and creating and just feeling kind of comfortable with the whole thing. So thank you for inviting me on to speak with you today. Let's explore.
Well, I know we're doing a couple of interviews. I'm interviewing you today, you're interviewing me next week to talk a little bit more about books. So it's really nice to sort of, to share this mutual experience.
Really.
So tell us a little bit more about what you're going to be covering today on this short interview.
Okay, so just a little bit backstory really. Over my years, I've gone from being a corporate marketer, blue chip, global brands, and loving that. And I guess I became a little bit feeling unfulfilled. Like I wanted something more for myself, a larger version of life and more experience in it. And one of the things that, probably about 12 years ago, actually, now I left my corporate job and I've become, I became an entrepreneur at that point. I've been building my business ever since, loved it. And there's been lots of different experiences that were not quite as I expected them to be. And, they say that building a business is the greatest personal development journey that you'll ever have.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, because it brings up all your kind of like beliefs and takes you to the very edges of what you feel comfortable with. And of course, as we know, if you're not going beyond your comfort zone, you're actually not growing. And in my experience, especially over the last kind of 6 or 7 years, I've really become much more committed and aligned with some of the challenges that women seem to face, especially which come from the beliefs we have about ourselves, and especially the mindset, the confidence, the kind of expectation of how we should be and how we should show up and what's acceptable and what's normal, and how you overcome those potential limiters that can halt you and slow you down. And I want to share a few experiences that may resonate, because one of the things, as I made the shift from being a consultant to being a coach stroke mentor, kind of selling myself, which is a different experience to selling a product or a service that's not you, is really getting comfortable with who am I, what am I in the world, what value do I bring, and who am I to even talk about this thing that, I feel strongly about, but people may judge me in some way. So judgment is one of others, and fear of what other people think can be a huge limiter on, people's progress. I don't know if you've experienced that, but I know I have.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah. What will people think? Who is she to be speaking about that? Especially when they know you in a particular capacity, and then you're perhaps speaking about something that they don't know you as. Then you've got to handle that inwardly to be okay with what other people think, and kind of build up the inner resilience to let that kind of wash off you and become very, very committed to your own goals, and to have your own clarity about where you're going and why, so that you are able to carry yourself through those hard moments when it kind of feels a bit wobbly. So judgment of others was a big one for me,
Yeah.
because I was always very sensitive. I am still very sensitive, but I've learned to handle it very differently now.
Mm.
And the other thing was actually becoming comfortable with what we could call a sales conversation, and moving away from feeling uncomfortable about speaking about sales to actually seeing that it's really genuinely an act of service when it's done genuinely from
Yeah.
the heart, and it's completely an authentic service. It's actually a disservice to not share what you have, because it can
Absolutely.
really help somebody.
Mm.
And when I really integrated that understanding quite a few years ago now, it really enabled me to share more of myself and be seen, and to hold, do things differently, be more visible, hold events, share my message more, and realize that, we, all of us, like you, me, everyone watching this, we all have a solution that
Mm-hmm.
can help somebody else. But
Mm-hmm.
the only way those people are going to find it is if we speak about it, and if we're willing to go into a conversation that allows someone to say, yes, that can really help me, I want it, how do we do it, and then make the arrangements that make it happen. And that can be really limiting for a lot of people still. And I think learning how to be in alignment with a healthy sales conversation is really important as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I
So
don't know
it's
how.
really about showing up, isn't it? Showing up, because if certainly with clients and their books, one of the things I say is you can't, when you do write a book, or when you do, get on stage, or you do show up in a bigger way, you do become more visible, and then you become more vulnerable. So it's
Yes.
quite a big mind shift, isn't it? Because you might be thinking, oh, it's safe to be here, but actually, unless you put your head above it, no one's going to know you exist, and you can't actually serve them with your knowledge.
Yes, and I think there's two pieces to that. There's certainly being visible, and being vulnerable and sharing more of yourself is a big part
Mm,
of that. But it's funny, I was speaking to a client actually a couple of days ago, and we were talking about how there's being visible and being seen, but then there's also having the skill set of actually being able to engage
mm,
and have that conversation, or the process, or the availability to invite someone to come and work with you, or
mm,
to buy your products or your book, or your program, whatever it might be.
yeah,
That's a slightly different, I
mm,
believe, a slightly different skill set to
absolutely, yeah,
be able to feel comfortable when someone else says, or their fear comes up, and they
yeah.
say, I haven't got time, I can't afford it, and the typical kind of ego driven stories that we all have come up to get in the way. And
Mm,
that's, again, a
yeah.
journey to learn how to help someone through that.
Yeah. So there's a
uh,
couple of things that you do, Dawn, isn't it? So do you want to tell our viewers what do you do in your business, as well as helping women, through some of these blocks and through some of these limitations that might be facing them?
yes, thank you for, so it's actually all connected to that. So it's really, I mean, if somebody was to say to me, fundamentally, what is it that you feel really strongly about, it is that a woman, and men, but I mostly work with women, are able to create what they really desire in their life, whether it's a business or a different lifestyle, and they have to believe in themselves to do that. And
Mm,
so you have to upskill yourself in your confidence, your mindset, your habits. So I do a couple of things actually. One is really help women start and grow businesses,
mm-hmm,
helping them get very clear about what they want, why they want it, what's getting in the way,
mm-hmm,
and then constructing, a process to help them get from where they are now to where they want to be. And that's very bespoke, high level, kind of very personalized, tailored one-to-one support,
mm-hmm.
which generates great results. I've seen people make massive shifts, change careers, create six figures in less than 12 months, really get themselves unstuck, change their domestic situation, change relationships, all kind of
Wow.
things, because they feel empowered and really good about themselves. And the other thing which I added into my business about a year ago, which is something I thought I would never ever do, is I got involved with an American social selling business. And I've gone from being like, hell no, I will never do that, to actually seeing that it supports everything that I've just been speaking about around making connections, having really authentic conversations that allow you to see where you can help somebody, and then providing a service and practicing and getting good with the sales process,
Mm-hmm.
and then mentoring other women. So I actually am seeing many women want to do this who have either never had a business before,
Mm-hmm.
or their business is kind of plateaued, and it's because their skills need to be honed, but they haven't got someone supporting them or mentoring them and helping them. That it actually becomes a solution for people who maybe haven't got one-to-one coaching support, or
Yeah.
aren't ready to invest in it, but they want something that's going to lift them into a different level.
Yeah.
And it's really opened my mind. So it's all about empowerment and about confidence and finding, and also financial empowerment. That's a biggie.
Yeah.
I spoke at a conference a few months ago now, and it was actually for International Women's Day, so it would have been about a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
In a Sikh community, and culturally we have different beliefs and we have all kind of different attitudes about money, but financial empowerment is one of those things that can really get in the way of choices,
Mm-hmm.
feeling freedom,
Mm-hmm.
making decisions about how much or how little you work, how you work. And whilst it's all work in progress for all of us, having a skill set that gives you or puts you on a path to that, I believe, is one of the most important things that anyone can ever do for themselves, because you're providing for your family, you're providing for yourself, you're actually empowering other people in the process with this. So I actually feel like I've done a complete 180. It's when it's done very well, it actually is a great solution.
So what made you with this company go from a sort of like a hell no to a actually let's embrace it, apart from obviously some of the things you said around sort of the financial empowerment, etc.
Yes.
What was it about this company particularly?
The values.
Yeah.
Values. And really, I'm a very sensitive, kind of heart-centered person. My whole business is all about making a difference for other people, and to me that provides the greatest fulfillment of all, really, to know that I've really helped someone move.
Yeah.
And being, I've seen lots of companies that do this kind of thing that I'm not aligned with. It's much more about, it's I don't know, it's a different kind of culture. But this particular company, which is luxury hair care, it actually has been created by very successful family who made their money in social selling, and they wanted to actually create a business that was really more about empowerment and more about giving back. And having a product actually makes it easier for people to have conversations often.
Of course.
And so it's a thing that, we're buying on a regular basis. It's a high performance product, without going into all that product stuff, but it's high performance. It really works. And it's got great credentials. But behind all of that, all of the values are about empowerment and about gratitude and giving back. And I know that when I connected with that, because it's very heart-centered, and so I know you are too, it really resonates with me. So that's why. And then now I'm seeing it 12 months on, how much has been generated and how many families have been impacted. And in the UK, for example, we support a charity which is all about helping children who are very deprived and in families where they don't have toys, they don't have, they wouldn't get gifts. And we do all kinds of regional projects, but there's a big London-based project which is all about helping children to have fun and be children, and have a more fulfilled early start in life. So it's really giving me something I never expected to get, actually.
So it's obviously changed your life in the last year, and it's changing the lives of other women as well.
Absolutely. And I'm really genuinely very surprised about it, because I thought I had I have a great business. I'm not intending to not do that, but I guess I just feel a level of enthusiasm that is actually quite surprising to me, because what I'm seeing happen is a level of liberation financially for women that I just didn't think was possible. But it's exciting. So we're I love that quote, the rising tide lifts all boats. I'm really seeing that happen, which is great. No, go on, sorry.
I was just going to ask you, what types of people are you supporting through this at the moment? What type of women are sort of working alongside you?
Yeah, well, all kinds, different situations and different life stages. So some women maybe, and men, of course, we don't forget there are men
Of course.
in fact, there's big opportunity because there aren't many men doing it.
Well, there's a lot
Um,
of male products. I know we talked about that a few weeks ago.
yes, absolutely. And they really work. They really work. Um, I'm seeing, just side note, I'm seeing men have their hair grow back where they've had bald heads, which is quite amazing. Side note, the kind of women who are involved are really like women like you and I, Karen, who are entrepreneurs and maybe they don't yet have the cash flow or income that they want. And, that skill set is transferable. So it's actually not learning something dramatically different. It's a fairly transferable skill set that's integratable. So entrepreneurs who really are wanting to have more financial flow and build their skills and their strength, as we spoke earlier. People who are in a job right now and who want to leave it and start a business, but perhaps don't have the buffer to do that right now. That's a great one because they're learning a really valuable skill set for a very low investment. Women who've not worked for a while, people who've been maybe retired and want to be active again, young mums who are at home and want to have more family income to do more with their children. It's kind of, there is something in it for a lot of
types of
people.
people. Yeah,
There's something in it for a lot of people.
and I imagine for sort of a lot of sort of business authors and business owners as well, it's another income stream that they can add to their business that they can do along. If it complements their business like it does with you, with the women and women's empowerment, financial freedom, etc. It obviously works really well for you. But for people who have got a service which complements that, that's the ideal opportunity, isn't it? Really?
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm actually finding that people who are interested in healthy lifestyles, well-being, detoxing, what you're consuming and what you're using is a really big one these days. The sort of conscious lifestyle choices is very attractive for that kind of person. But really for anyone who wants a little bit kind of more in life. And I know you and I spoke a couple of weeks ago how the average millionaire has 7 income streams. And so having more than one is a good idea, regardless of what you're doing. So it really does make sense to say, how do I make that happen? And for anyone who's watching right now who doesn't have that and thinks, well, I haven't got time, that's part of the expansion process of learning. How do you let go of some of the things that are not maximizing your time? And actually kind of going full circle, we spoke first of all about time mastery, and it really does bring that in, because how do you become very efficient and very focused and able to be most productive? And that really is full circle for us, because when you can manage more than one sort of income stream or activity to generate money, then you really are fast tracking your freedom.
Well, I think with any business owner, it's the 80-20 rule, isn't it? I think so often we do the 80% that gives you 20% of the results, but actually it's switching on its head, and it's knowing what that 20% is, and it's intriguing. So I've been looking at that myself recently, so it's intriguing. Where should you spend your time, or where? No, should is the wrong word actually. Where is the best place to spend your time by actually analysing what's working and what isn't?
Yes, and I don't know what your findings have been through that, Karen. I know from my own experience of being a business owner for the last 12 years, the skill set that's really supported me in anything that I've done is really about it's confidence and engagement and feeling worthy to show up, have a conversation, kind of own what you have, and just be willing to help somebody. I think that again was a big shift for me, so that business becomes not about going out to get something, but actually understanding that naturally follows when you are a giver first. So when you go to give value, the receiving, like the giving and the receiving is a natural dynamic. But when you shift your intention to, I really want to help someone first, the flow comes back to you anyway. And that actually was probably one of the biggest things that helped me.
For me, just because you asked me the question, I don't know how this is going to come out, but for me it was about showing up and people knowing what I do. So showing up as you say, adding value. You know, I know I
Yeah.
do regular newsletters. Some might say too many, but actually I've always got something to say, so I always want to
Yeah.
share it. And the more value I can add, the better. But for me, it's,
Yeah.
you know, it's about connection with people. It's about people knowing, you know, how I can help, and also them being able to share that articulately. Not that's a
Yeah.
really bad way, in an articulate way. Shall I just say that? Yeah. And I think that is the thing, is when people know what you do and you show up and you become more visible, it makes it easier for them to say, actually, you know, you want to write a book, you know, go and see Karen. You know, you want to have multiple
Yes.
income streams, go and see Dawn, isn't it? It's about having that
Yes.
that connection right at the very beginning. It's so important.
Yeah, and also just to add one thing to that, if I may, for people who perhaps are starting on this journey and thinking, oh, well, no one's watching, no one's commenting, you know, because it does become, you know, it's a process, isn't it? It's a journey to build your confidence, to keep doing it even when you're not seeing the results happen yet, and
Yeah.
to realize that every time you show up and you share something, even though you can't see perhaps somebody viewing it because you don't always see that on the screen, you are potentially really making a difference for someone that day. And that's that happened to me multiple times a few
Yeah.
years ago. I thought, oh, no one's watching my lives, or no one's consuming what I'm putting out, so it mustn't be very good, and you know, or they don't like what I'm saying, you know. And I started to judge myself, and then that never ends very well, of course. And then somebody reached out to me one day after, I think I'd done a Facebook Live, and there was nobody live on it, but I'd seen that people were commenting afterwards, and this lady reached out to me and said, you know, thank you so much for sharing that, because you really made a difference for me today. And I just wanted to say that for anyone who might be watching who has that experience, to not stop, because you're learning all the time and you are still making a difference for someone. You just might not realize it there and then.
And sometimes it takes a while, doesn't it? You know, I recently started working with a new client towards the end of last year who we met 5 years ago. And then suddenly I had this Facebook message saying, hey, I'm ready to write my book now. And, you know, we'd had very limited connection in there. But I think social media has a positive and a negative impact, doesn't it, really? Because it can be positive in terms it can keep you connected with people who you know, are interested in maybe what you've got to say, or it helps you to build those connections if you met someone at a networking event. But it also, we know it's a time suck, and we know that it has its downsides as well.
Yes, and also, of course, it somehow our expectations are that it should happen quickly and it should all be easy, which is, you know, it's not the truth. You know, it can happen that way, but it's depends where you're starting from and what experience you've got and what resources you have. You know, it's different for everyone. But I mean, I love social media. It enables us to reach so many people so quickly. But people need to get to know you and learn that they can actually trust you, and that does take a bit more time. But yeah, it's all good fun, isn't it? I know you love what you're doing. I love what I'm doing too, and just impacting more people is just part of the process that we're in, helping more people.
And I know you want to impact more people with this company, don't you, as well? So tell us a little bit more about that and how people can get involved.
Yeah, so if people are watching in the UK, especially in this month, there is something very, very significant that I definitely invite you to come and speak to me about, which, because we're so new in the UK, that we are, the opportunity and the potential in this country is phenomenal. And I don't really want to kind of go into like a salesy kind of piece, but if somebody's interested, I would like to invite them to know about it, and I can send them some information. But in the US, we've seen the company go from zero to almost $1 billion in less than 5 years, because they've got their formula so right, the product right, the training, the support, everything is just very, very professional and coming from the right place. And in the UK, we're just really at the beginning of that journey, and we have a phenomenal structure, very professional, lovely team in the UK, corporate team in the UK. We're based in Milton Keynes, and that for people who are keen to become, you know, if they like to coach, they like to lead, they like to train people, it's perfect. If they're ambitious people who want to have a greater income stream and love to work in collaboration, it's a brilliant business model for that. But there is a lot of potential. So, you know, we're expanding into Europe this year as well. So very exciting times. I just invite questions and sharing. I don't like to, there's no hard sell, it's only information. And if it's aligned, then fantastic, I'd love to help.
So how can people get in touch with you, Dawn, and find out a little bit more?
Probably the best way is to email me, which is dawn@dawngrossart.com. Shall I spell it?
Yeah.
It's DAWN, Dawn, at, and then same again, DAWN, and then my surname is GROSS for sugar, ART.com, dawn@dawngrossart.com, and I can follow you, or so email you back from there, or you can connect with me on Facebook or Instagram. I'm on there too.
Fab. So have you got anything you want to add today, Dawn, to this lovely interview, where we've gone off at many different tangents, but it's just, but it's also, I think it's just, it's just real life, isn't it, in terms of what happens to business owners, and also how we all want to do we want to make a difference, don't we? Ultimately, we want to change lives, we want to make a difference. Absolutely. But we also have to look after ourselves as well, because unless we're financially free ourselves, or we're bringing in an income, we can't actually do what we wanted to do in the first place.
Yes, and I think there are many things I'd love to share, but I'll try and keep it kind of condensed. But for anyone watching who has a bigger vision for themselves and is feeling a little bit yearning for something different, is to say, don't stay stuck. Don't allow yourself to kind of get in the drift of not moving forward and allowing your mind to get in the way, because that's what's happening. Actually come and have a conversation with me or someone else, but speak it out and get unstuck, because there, again, a big lesson, there is a solution to everything. There really is a solution to everything. So if you've got a dream and you've got a desire and you know that something has to shift, just take ownership of it, grab it and go for it, because you can do it.
Fabulous.
You can.
Absolutely. And I think that's where we're aligned, Dawn, is we both got that desire just to help people to be their best.
Yes, thank you, Karen. I know that with your work, with your book creation, it is an amazing way to get a message out there. So again, if anyone's watching and they haven't written their book yet, Karen.
So when's yours coming out, Dawn?
Mine will be coming out undisclosed date yet, but that is a different conversation. But yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
So thank you so much for joining me today. So Dawn Grossart, thank you so much, and please do get in touch with Dawn if you would like to take advantage of this amazing opportunity she's got, and also have a conversation about how she can support you in your business.
Yes, there's more than one thing that could happen there. So thank you, Karen. I'm very grateful and lovely to be interviewed in your space here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.